Harley-Davidson didn't get trapped by wokeness. It got trapped by the limits of its own legend. Harley's greatest product was never just the motorcycle. It was identity. For decades, Harley sold more than transportation. It sold a distinctly American image. The sound, the chrome, the leather, the bar and shield patch, the parking lot nod from strangers. Buying a Harley often felt less like buying a machine and more like joining a community. That is a business superpower. It can also become a constraint, because when a company sells belonging, its customers don't just age with the brand. Their expectations about what the brand should represent can become more rigid over time. Harley's mythology connected especially strongly with riders who associated it with freedom, rebellion, and a traditional image of American motorcycling. But markets change, generations change, and Harley's core audience aged alongside the brand. Industry research has for years pointed to an aging U.S. rider base, and Harley has often been seen as especially exposed to that trend. At the same time, many younger riders have shown more interest in lighter, cheaper, and more practical bikes, standards, smaller displacement models, adventure bikes, and entry-level motorcycles that better fit city life, tighter budgets, and higher insurance costs. Put simply, if you're 28, live in a city, and want a bike for everyday use, a big premium cruiser can be a tougher sell. It's heavier, more expensive, less practical for some riders, and often costlier to insure. Harley's challenge wasn't that young people suddenly hated motorcycles. It was that the company became heavily associated with a format and a meaning that fit the market less well than it once did. While Harley defended its core image, the market kept moving. Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, BMW, Triumph, and Royal Enfield all had stronger positions in categories Harley never fully owned: approachable entry bikes, sportier standards, adventure touring, smaller displacement, and lower price points. That's the deeper strategic problem. Harley wasn't just losing customers, it risked becoming less relevant to the center of the market. A typical company can try to reposition. It can say, "We still value our core customer, but we need new ones too." Harley tried versions of that. It launched smaller bikes in some international markets. It pushed the Pan America adventure bike. It invested in electric through Livewire. On paper, those moves were understandable. But Harley had spent decades teaching customers that the brand was more than a product line. It was cultural territory. So expansion didn't always look like innovation. To some loyalists, it looked like a departure from what made Harley feel like Harley. That helps explain why the 2024 controversy hit so hard. In July 2024, activist Robbie Starbuck publicly criticized Harley over corporate policies and affiliations he characterized as woke, including DEI-related practices and participation in external benchmarking programs. Those claims spread quickly online and became part of a broader political debate. And here's the important part. Once a brand becomes identity infrastructure, many corporate actions start getting interpreted as political signals. Harley was no longer being judged only as a motorcycle company. It was also being judged as a cultural symbol. Harley's public response showed how difficult that position had become. In 2024, the company said it had changed or ended several policies and programs that had become part of the controversy, including aspects of DEI-related structure, external benchmarking participation, and certain training or sponsorship reviews. Even so, those changes did not resolve Harley's underlying business problem. Because the company's biggest challenge was never only online backlash, it was that the business was already under pressure from slower demand, an aging customer base, and a product mix that did not fully match where much of the market was going. By 2024, Harley had warned of weaker demand. Public filings and earnings reports also reflected pressure on revenue, shipments, and profitability. Into 2025, investors and analysts were still focused on the same pattern: softer sales, lower shipments, and continued strain on earnings and dealers. That's the part too many people miss. This was never just a backlash story. The backlash mattered. But it landed on a company that was already facing a deeper structural problem. Harley built one of the most powerful brand identities in business, then discovered that identity can become a cage. Go younger, and some longtime loyalists may feel alienated. Stay tightly aligned with the old guard, and the customer base keeps aging. Respond to political pressure, and you may still not change the broader business trajectory. Meanwhile, competitors keep doing something simpler: selling motorcycles to riders whose needs match the product. That's Harley's real crisis. Its mythology was so successful that many customers stopped relating to the brand only as buyers and started relating to it as guardians of what the brand should mean. And once your logo becomes a political or cultural symbol, every move risks alienating someone while the market keeps moving. Harley didn't just build a brand, it built a worldview around the brand. And worldviews are much harder to update than product lines.